Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. It's Monday, guys. How are you doing? I don't know what part of the world you're in, but here it's raining. It was really raining really bad this morning, but looked like it stopped um, for now anyway. How are you guys doing? Did you guys have a great weekend? I hope you had a great weekend, and thank you for continuing to show up on this channel. Now, for those who are not familiar with me and what we do here, I just want to let you know that I'm not a therapist, I'm not a social worker or a counselor. I'm someone who's going through hell and back in a handbasket, and I talk about ways I've healed all those toxic things, situations, circumstances, and people that were in my life. Um, and perhaps the things that I share here will help someone or a few people who may be currently going through some difficult times. So remember to keep your comments respectful, and we're here to uplift and to build up because all that other stuff like toxicity, etc., we know what that's about because that's an ongoing thing in the world that we live in today, but we're here to uplift and to help. So, with that being said, let's get into this topic of discussion. So, the topic of discussion today is never stop being yourself. Guys, let me tell you something. The world, and you probably already know this, the world that we live in today, we live in a world where many folks seek validation from others. They can't seem to find self, and they seek validation, approval from other folks, and it's a lot, you know, and that's the world we live in today. People have a difficult time being their authentic self because um, they're being programmed to do otherwise. And we're going to get into that topic, uh, discussion, what I just said. Here are a few examples. I cannot date you. I really like you, but I can't date you because my family and friends will never accept us being a couple because you guys can stop and fill in the blank if you ever been in that situation. Another example is we cannot hang out or be friends because, how many of you guys been in a situation like that? How many of you ever had these examples that I'm talking about? You know, um, I've myself gone through this growing up situations. So it's like, I know all about it because I've been through it. Um, How many times have you guys encountered these types of scenario? I know I have a few times in life, and I have been on the other end of it saying this to someone, and I'm going to get into that as well. Um, how many of us in the past have given into peer pressure? I'm going to raise my hand on that one because I have in the past as well. I'm including myself in this because everything I talk about here, I've gone through, and I have some notes because sometimes after I leave this these videos, I'm like, oh, I should have covered that. I should have said that. So I have some notes here so that I don't forget to cover, important things that I think will be important to you and that you guys will remember. Um, let's go back to, I always use myself as an example because I want you guys to see and understand that I've gone through so much. And then I talk about ways I've gotten through it and how it changed my life. So I grew up in a very religious setting where having friends outside the organization was against the rules. It was always something. You can't do this, you can't do that, can't go there, can't do this. It was so much of it. Growing up, yeah, for me was mostly about what I can and cannot do. I had questions about this, lots of questions, and it would irritate them, when I ask questions. Well, why can't I go and do this? Well, why can't I do that? And, it just would irritate them. I would never get answers, you know. What I was told um, was to be in compliance, or there would be consequences. Be in compliance to these rules, etc., or there would be dire consequences. And that's not the answer. That's not the answer to the questions I had. And what I realized is that I was never going to get the answers to the questions that I was posing. When I reached my early 20s, after all these do's and don'ts and etc., I left the organization because I couldn't follow their rules and regulations. And for me, it wasn't making sense, and I was not allowed to be my authentic self. I had to do things that I didn't like, um, that I just questioned. And, to the point where I just said, okay, I can't do this anymore because I wasn't allowed to be myself. Even though I lost a lot thereafter, after leaving that organization, I lost a whole lot, guys. And it was rough for a long time. But however, it was worth it. And the reason why I say it was worth it, because the rewards today outweighed the losses. And let me explain what I mean by that. When I view this situation and the circumstances and hell and all this stuff I've gone through, when I viewed it from a different perspective, after things were so heavy for far so long in my life, what I lost was things that was never mine anyway. When I looked at it from a different perspective, these things were never mine in the first place. So I'm losing things that really don't belong to me. Here's what helped me so much on this healing journey, to heal. I had to learn to change my perspective, my way of thinking. Many of us grew up, you have to do things in this manner in order to achieve that, to do this, to get that, right? And it's been instilled in us over and over and over again. So I had to recondition my thinking and the way I thought, because my thinking was negative. It's like, and I had to recondition everything that I was taught. So I learned to change my perspective, the way I looked at life and the awful things that were taking place at times. And when you add a negative spin to that, it just makes what you're going through 100 times worse. So when I changed that negative way of thinking, even with relationships and friendships and business situations, when I learned to change that way of thinking, to a positive way, things change for the better. When I changed my negative situation or negative thinking to see these situations as unlearned lessons, meaning that I was repeating things, different people, different characters, but the same scenario. And when I realized that, I realized these were unlearned lessons. I wasn't learning a lesson. So it was spinning, that wheel was spinning again, and those lessons were coming back. And when they come back, they're worse than ever. I began to understand the importance first of being myself, my authentic self. Not what somebody want me to be, like a puppet on a string. Go here, do that, run this way, go that way. No, I had to learn to be myself, who I am. Um, Regardless of what other people thought about this, because that was a problem for me for a long time. Well, if I do be myself, then this is going to happen. These people, I had to let all of that go and just be myself, because I wasn't living my life. I was existing on what somebody else or a few others wanted me to be, which didn't fit me. Because have you guys, it's like getting somebody buying you a pair of shoes, right? And those shoes don't fit. And you don't like the shoes anyway, but you're trying to push your feet in these shoes that don't fit. And these shoes don't fit. and they keep trying to force you to wear them. That's what it felt like to me. And I had to pull myself away from all of that, and what people thought and how they looked and viewed me. When I started to reprogram the negative thinking and see that these was unlearned lessons and I needed to learn these lessons quick so that I don't repeat them, I started to heal, started to see life and situations from a different perspective. And I started to self-love, self-care, and look at things differently. And on top of that, as I started to grow and heal, I started to remove toxic people, circumstances, and situations from my life because I don't want to repeat any more lessons because it was too many that was unlearned. And once I learned them, I can close the door to that and move on. Um, Also, prayer, asking God to help me, and as I did the work, and I talk about this a lot on many of my videos, as I did the work and took steps in a specific direction, as I asked God to help me in prayer, meditation, and the vows I make, I take a step here. God is behind the scenes taking two and three. At first, I questioned it. Maybe it's my imagination. But every time I take a step, God is there taking two and three, and I see the results, irrefutable proof of it. And I'm talking, guys, proof of it. And my life has changed tremendously for the better because of it. When you reprogram the way you think and not, follow the norm, what people call the norm, and you do for you, and you be your authentic self, things will change. And if you look at things, like I said, people, circumstances, and situations come into our life for a reason, a season, a lifetime, or a lesson. And many of these things, in my case, were lessons. And if you sit and you evaluate and look at these, you may come to the conclusion that many of these things are unlearned lessons, and you can quickly learn them so that you can close those doors and then move forward. And what I realized is that I had to close the doors to toxicity, no matter where it was coming from, in order for me to move forward. And I realized at that particular time, as I started to do the work and therapy with my therapist, that I had to be myself, my authentic self, regardless of what anybody else thought. I felt free, and the process of all of this changed my life for the better, guys. It was freeing to be myself and not to, you got to go over here and do that. You can't have outside friends. You can't go to this organization to sit at their church or whatever. You can't do this. You can't marry an outsider. And it goes on and on and on with these rules and regulations, within that organization. And I just one day set myself free from it. And the other thing I want to tell you guys, I used to how you looking for a specific career, or maybe some of you want to get married, or maybe some of you want to travel or do specific things. When you change your mindset to a positive one, you can attract these things in your life. You want to make more money, and as you put forth the effort, you can attract these things in your life. What I've learned is that I don't chase behind anything. It comes to me as I sit and change my perspective, my way of thinking and looking at things. I should always have this mindset of, oh, this one don't like me, this one is trying to do this, etc. What I do now is change my perspective. Okay, this looks like an unlearned lesson. I need to learn this lesson quick so I can close this door over here forever, because I want to go through this door over here. And as you do that and see things in that manner, instead of on a negative, then you will see your life change for the better, people. It's going to take some work. It's not easy. It took, I started out with this in 2020. We're in 2025. And now I'm starting to see a lot of results of just doing things in this way. And when people, for me, I had a lot of people who haters, and what I do with them is give them my 1 million or 100% silence. I used to get into these things with folks about, well, I haven't done anything. I don't worry about that anymore, because now I'm focused on self care, self love, building myself up, looking at things from a different perspective. And as I look at these things from a different perspective, I know how to heal them. And one of the things that when you start to grow, heal, and evolve, some people will love you and support you, and other people will hate you for it because, you know, envy, jealousy, when they can do the same thing, but maybe some people are not ready for that. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that it's important for me to continue to heal, grow, and evolve. And when you have people who leech onto you and who are toxic, and they're bringing that toxicity to your life, what I had to do is make a pro and con list. What are they bringing to my life? And that was something that was very helpful because that's what my therapist had me to do, after weeks of just looking at each other, because we do um, the sessions by Zoom. And I start to do the work and say, well, the cons are outweighing the pros here. Wow. And then I started to see what I brought to the table and what these folks brought to the table. And then I started to get like these people are leeches and toxic as hell. And I had to make a decision. So I set boundaries. And when they were disrespecting the boundaries, and one thing for me, I have zero tolerance for disrespect. And what I would do is just cut off, block, and delete at that point. And people start to feel some kind of way because I was the type of person, I was so subservient. And, because I want to keep people in my life, have friends, have people like me. But first, I had to like myself. I had to work on myself. And as I do that, I don't chase, run, or skip behind anything. We can attract things to our life when we change our way of thinking for the better and not always being in that pessimistic point of view. When we look at things from a different perspective, we start to grow and raise our vibrations so that we're not in that toxicity. And as I close those doors to the toxicity, my life has been freeing because that's where that inner peace come into play, and I won't allow it back in. And also, I have gotten to the point where I'm able to see behind the mask that people are wearing. Folks, use your intuition as well because it will never lead you in the wrong direction. Because sometimes, how you get that twisted feeling in you about a situation or a person? Listen to that because that's your intuition talking to you and telling you something is quite not right here. You may not know what it is or the details of it, but something is quite not right here. So follow that, listen to that. And men who are listening to, you have an intuition as well. And if you're getting that feeling about a certain person or situation, listen to it because your intuition is a safety um, thing that kicks in when there's something wrong. Please listen to that because in the past, I wouldn't listen to that. I would just make excuses. If it's looking like a duck, it's talking, quacking like a duck, running like a duck, it's a duck. Don't call it a dog or don't call it a horse. I had to see things for what they really are. And sometimes people are not happy for you when you start to do better in your life and you feel better and you're happy because there's a lot of miserable people out there. And some of these folks don't want to do the work because it's a lot of work to look at yourself and see what you need to change for the better. And some people are just not ready to do that yet. And that's okay too. But it doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in the toxicity with them. For me, I suggest setting boundaries and then focusing on yourself so that you can raise your vibration and take care of yourself, self love. As you do that, you will see things change in your life for the positive. I promise you that. attracting instead of chasing. And as you close doors to things that no longer serve you or no longer for your highest good, and you go to these doors over here, new doors, new situations will be better in your life, things that are meant to be in your life, and so never fear if you're losing certain people or situations out of your life, because like I said, people, situations, circumstances come into our life for a reason, season, lifetime, or a lesson. And perhaps that might have been a lesson. So please share this video with other people. Keep showing up here, because every day there's a new message. It's all about healing, but it's a new message, and anyone who is listening might be going through something that I'm talking about here. And when you hear some of the ways I get through it, if you apply it in your own circumstances, it might help you to get through it sooner than later. So, guys, that's the message today. It is so important for us to grow, heal, and evolve so that we can have inner peace instead of being broken down, busted, and disgusted. That's the message today. Invite others to show up here. Subscribe to the channel, because I could never tell you when I'm going to be here, so that you always get that notification. And leave me some comments as to how what you thought of this video, and invite others as well. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you again sometime tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Remember to do something for yourself on a daily basis. Thank you again. Bye for now, guys.